the Virtual Racing Association. We're from the bull ring here tonight. Looks like that green flag is just about to wave here. I'm joined by my co-host for the night, Kynan Jones. Been a minute, man. I haven't had you up in the booth here. Almost forgot your name there for a second, but we are green flag racing here from the bull ring.
Yeah, the bull ring tonight is going to keep it all nicely compact. You're going to not be able to really break away. It's a very short track compared to just across the street with the 1.5 mile Las Vegas Motor Speedway, so we should expect some fairly close racing as looks like Mokawa has gone into the back in the overspin.
We have our first caution of the night. We'll be able to get that grid situated for you as well. We'll run through that grid as we're under caution right now. I'm sure we'll have some names shuffle in and out of that right now under caution. Our first caution of the night here occurs on lap number 3. Taking a look at that grid right now. We're going to take a look at the replay first to see what brought out our first caution of the night here on 10-4 Broadcasting. Look at that starting grid. That's perfect right there. Kind of got Caden Tufts rolling off first. Nathaniel Cherry that needs a good finish here tonight to stay in that championship race. Going to roll off second. Gilberto is going to roll off on third. Dallas Myhan, who's a winner here in the Virtual Racing Association, is going to ride off fourth. Ethan Mokawa is going to ride off in the 5th position. Alex Kenton's going to ride off in 6th. John Sponsor is going to ride off in 7th. Adam Peeler in the 8th position. Cody McLean in 9th. And I'll throw it on over to you, kind of, to finish out that starting grid.
Well, we can't really tell who is in the initial starting position, but 10th position, Matt Morial, I don't know, I haven't seen your name before, so I'm sorry if I've butchered it. Steve Durhan, Chris Gutierrez, Chris Edwards, Jordan Tarbell in the 14th position.
And that's our starting grid for the Weekend Woodsmen. 1:30 here tonight. I'm sure that grid's a little different now. We had our first caution already here on lap number 3, but 130 laps tonight from the bull ring. And Kynan, I'm glad to have you back up here in the booth, my man. I think I've missed you now for the past couple weeks. What's it about the bull ring that's going to make tonight so exciting for these drivers?
Well, with it being such a short track compared to what drivers are probably used to, we've been running basically fairly large tracks for modifieds typically, but just on the replay, the 14 just gone a little bit too hot, barely clipped the 14 or 26 and just sent them around in front of the pack. With it being such a short track, and you tend to find that the corners are a lot tighter than you might expect, you don't really have enough time to be able to react because the corners are that blind, trying to just find a way around. Then suddenly you've got multiple cars spun in front of you, but coming back to green, Caden Tufts getting off to a very strong restart. Nathaniel Cherry up into the outside is going to file into second.
Yeah, this is such a short course here tonight at the bull ring. You have no margin for error here. You always have to think about the next corner here as we see Cody McLean get sideways right there. And that's McLean sideways on the top side of that corner is going to bring out our second caution of the night here tonight.
Yeah, it seems to have only been a single car spin, maybe just getting in a bit too hot, but I'm sure we'll find out on the replay here very shortly, but luckily it doesn't seem like anyone else was involved.
No, we saw him getting a little loose there. The back end was sliding from him already. It looks like he was already getting a little loose on the exit of the corner there. He slipped sliding down into the corner, and then totally the car just comes from underneath him there on the entry, but he was already fighting that race car. You know, already looks like he has some damage to the front of that race car there. Must have been involved in that first caution, kind of.
Yeah, I'd say he was, but it doesn't seem like it's hindering him too badly. Maybe it's bent the alignment out, so it's turning, not going straight, but he was also fairly high up in the track where the marbles are, and you just dip a wheel over them and trying to brake, you have to be running fairly aggressive rear brake to just get the rear end to help rotate by itself, but do that on the slippery surface and it's very easy for the car to rotate.
Yeah, we saw that rotation there, and I'm coming from an IndyCar call yesterday there, Kynan, and what I love is that the similarities between these two race cars, although these race cars don't push, 200 miles an hour, 230 in some instances, it's still the same technicality, it's still the same preciseness these drivers have to race these machines with the open-wheeled concept, the fragility of these cars. We saw it right there with Cody McLean. He was fighting that car, and once he tried to fight it too much, that car just left him in the dust.
Yeah, it could also just be that the setup is very loose on exit. I know some tracks it can be tight, but There can also be others where, especially on new tires, it can just loop around on you very easily. So once we start ticking the laps away, it's 130 laps here tonight. We're currently on lap 11, going to be coming around to lap 12, which we should be going back to green, coming to 13.
Yeah, coming around that last corner here, looks like the pace lights are off of the pace car right here on lap 12. As you mentioned, kind of going to go green flag racing here on lap 13. Already getting ready to go here tonight. But last week we had a different winner on the racetrack. We've had a few different winners this season, kind of unlike last year where you finished a point away from Caden Tufts, and Caden Tufts virtually won every race that season. Has definitely not been the same here this season, the Virtual Racing Association, as it is. Caden Tufts going to take us to that green flag with a huge restart off of Nathaniel Cherry. Kind of stumbles a little bit out of the gates right there, and with that, Macau's going to make it pass there to the inside. You see right there, trying to go around him, trying to battle him to that position for second right now on the track. Nathaniel Cherry's going to hold on to that position as we're single file down the corner.
Yeah, on that initial restart, it looked a little bit tight. I thought there was going to be contact between second and third place as we got the yellow back out.
Yellow flag is flying here once again here, folks. Our third caution of the night already here coming in. You know, with the caution flags already flying here, what do you think it is that's making these caution flags fly? Is it the tightness of the track? As we're taking a look at the 99 of Chris Gutierrez, he just goes to the inside and just hits that apron. That's almost like a, I don't want to say a rookie mistake, but that's something that you just don't want to do there. You don't want to go so low that you hit the apron. We're going to watch here again. He almost hits the rumble strips for a minute. Tries to fight it around the racetrack. Goes down into the corner. That's one. He's already on the apron there on the apex of the corner.
I'd say he's just put too much rear brake into it and got on the brake too much. And then you do that, it's easy to just lock the rear axle and it can just rotate around. So just like pulling the handbrake in your road car, you go into the turn, you just yank it up, and then suddenly the rears stop turning, and then suddenly you're facing backwards. So the thing to really take away there is we've seen a lot of issues getting slowed down. We saw the 14 not slowing down enough, probably just driving it a bit too aggressively, but then we've seen Cody McLean and Chris Gutierrez both locking the rear axle and just rotating around that way. So it seems like getting into the corner seems to be the biggest issue right now.
Yeah, right there, because it gets so tight around those corners, it's hard to get around. Right here on lap, we're counting down the laps here already, already our third caution of the night so far here in the Virtual Racing Association. But folks, I want to go ahead and apologize for coming on a tad bit late there. Of course, we came on just as the green flag was flying here tonight. We were able to get that green flag in. Sometimes we come on just too late to miss that green flag, but we were able to run through that starting grid as well. So we were able to show you who qualified the fastest here tonight. But with three cautions already, in that field has already reshuffled a couple times.
Yeah, it's at the point now where you don't know if you want to really be towards the front, because we saw on that initial race start, that's where the issue happened between third and fourth, and then look a little bit further back, then there's an issue happening in the mid-pack, issue happening really anywhere on the track, so nowhere is really safe besides being in first position where Caden Tufts is.
Caden Tufts is used to being in that position at the top of the grid here in these modifieds. Of course, was the season champion last year here in the Virtual Racing Association. This year, though, although he is on top of the table currently, there's a lot of names that are coming for him for that points lead. But another rocket restart from Caden Tufts there. That inside lane is definitely paying dividends there as he's heading down into corner number one, separating himself from 2 and 3. We have a battle for second, though, on the racetrack there, That is Nathaniel Cherry and Macau going for it. Macau's going to make that pass down into the corner. He's going to overtake Nathaniel Cherry. Nathaniel Cherry, I know you've been absent here the past couple of weeks, has had one heck of a season so far.
Yeah, Nathaniel Cherry has been fairly strong, more so just picking up a consistent stream of points. I don't believe he's managed to get a win yet, but he's been in position to be close as he gets a little bit of a wiggle coming out of four, but not getting the restart that he probably have wanted being on that high line, whilst Mokwa on the inside was able to benefit from having the car in front disappear sooner. So that's been able to elevate Mokwa, but Nathaniel Cherry has dropped down into the third position, but still over 100 laps left in the race. It's a long way. Don't give up yet.
they still have a long way to go here tonight from the Bull Ring. This is actually my first time at the Bull Ring here. Kind of, it looks like a track that's almost like a county fairgrounds or something that you would see possibly up north somewhere. A very tight racetrack, but a very fast racetrack. Nonetheless, these cars fly around this track. Not much ability to slow down here tonight. Talking about slowing down, we spoke about Caden Tubbs on the top of that table. He has 2 wins on the season, 6 top 5s and 6 top 10s in 6 races that he's run this season. Also, Seth Rollins is tied for the points lead as well with 3 top 5s and 4 top 10s. Then that man we spoke about, the number 33 machine of Nathaniel Cherry, is in that 3rd spot. He's got 3 top 5s and 3 top 10s. But as you mentioned, kind of no wins on the season for Nathaniel Cherry or Seth Rollins right there. We have a couple multi-race winners on the season. Of course, Caden Thompson's won 2 races. Dallas Myhan has won 2 races. Keenan Riley, who is not racing here tonight, has won 2 races. And then Johnny Eckert has won 1 race this season. So it's time for somebody to break through here tonight, be a first-time winner on the season. Nathaniel Cherry can definitely do that with the performances he's been put forth here the last couple weeks.
Yeah, being in the 2nd position here tonight, he's in the best position to be able to elevate himself up into the 1st position here. But with it being a bit of a green flag run, it's just allowed the drivers to be able to feel what the car's going to do on all tires. Some drivers may have not experienced enough practice time to be able to see how it is, but looking a little bit further back into the pack, watching Gilberto Gamira in the 91, currently in a bit of a mess of cars with his teammate in front of him, and then Adam Peeler, our initial VRA race winner of round 1 last season.
Behind 32 laps in, and the caution flag is out once again. A big pile up there on the exit of 4. We see a couple cars doing a little NASCAR thunder running backwards on the track there, Kyan. I take a look at that 10-4 broadcasting replay to see exactly what occurred here on the racetrack. You see right there, not exactly sure which driver that is, John Sponsler there. You see him get just totally sideways there, Kynan, and you know, I'm going to ask you, because you're a driver here in the modifieds.
I think there's something more about this, because when we tuned in, sorry to cut you off, but he was pointing backwards. As you can see right now, he's just locked up, and then he's back there. It is, right in front of the leaders.
Who we made contact with there.
Nathaniel
it looked
Cherry.
like the lead pack that was coming around there. Adam Peeler, maybe? It may have been a car in front of him as well.
Made contact with Nathaniel Cherry.
Yeah, I thought so
That's
too.
what
There,
talking about.
Yeah, that was the 2nd place driver there, Nathaniel Cherry. I recognize that car, that black and white Oreo-looking machine on the racetrack. Made contact there with that car that was wrecking out there, unfortunately. And Kynan, I was going to ask you too, you see right there, John Sponsler gets sideways on the corner. You know, I called an IndyCar race last week, you know, in that series you have to get out of the racing line, because could there have been anything that John could have done there? Maybe just stay on the top side until that pack goes by, or is there really nothing you can do there?
Well, it's a bit of a sticky situation. You're trying to just run your own race, but then when you get loose in front of the lead pack, you just need to try to either spin it up the track, but then you've got to worry about bouncing off the wall. So it's a very sticky situation. So biggest person to lose from it is Nathaniel Cherry, who was running in the 2nd position, but it's real messy when those sorts of things happen.
Yeah, there's nothing really you can do. I know in IndyCar and Formula 1 style races, you have to quote-unquote get out of the racing line, but right here at the Bull Ring, looks like there's lines everywhere, Kynan. There was really nowhere for John to go. He just started that thing back up, started to roll down the track. Unfortunately, that lead pack was coming right there behind him. But here we go, folks. We're going to go green flag racing here once again in the Weekend Woodsmen 130. We've had 4 cautions here on lap 36, but the action has been nonstop. We'll see if Caden can get another great restart there on the inside lane, going down into that restart zone here at the Bull Ring. He has Mercado to his outside right there. He blasts off once again there. Kynan, that's something that he was known for last season with those rocket restarts that made him so untouchable last season. Maybe he's starting to get his timing down once again.
It could be that, but you can also just expect, if you look back to Linear when I found my way up into the lead, once you are the control car and can control when you go. If you can time it right, you can just jump out to a massive lead and can being able to take full advantage of that. You can see it on mile and a half, super speedways, but you don't typically want it at those sorts of tracks. But I haven't seen it more prevalent than short tracks. It's a very easy technique to be able to get down, but you have to get your way up into the first position to be able to take full effect of it.
You see Ethan, we're going to ride on board with Ethan Markauer there. I think we all have different pronunciations of his last name. I think we should get it down the way that he's been racing this season as well. Very consistent, almost as consistent as Nathaniel Cherry there in the points standings. But Ethan again is trying to put his teeth into Caden Tubbs there at the top, trying to reel him in, if you will, use his fishing pole inside of that modified race car here tonight. But it's really going to happen on those restarts. If you allow Caden to separate, it's really hard to close him in here on lap 42. And how these laps are ticking down here, kind of, if you allow Caden to basically have a Sunday drive there at the top of the grid, it's really going to be hard to catch him up there. But again, we're going to ride on board the 38 machine down in the third position. Matt Moreau right there in the third spot. And Matt, I think, is coming on strong here. It's not a driver that we call out much here in the VRA, but definitely trying to make himself known here tonight in the third position.
I think this may be either his first or second start this season, so a driver we haven't really seen too much of this season. But looking back at the 91 of Gilberto Gamira, currently stuck behind his Shift Esports teammate of Dallas Myhan, so lots of little battles going on, and Adam Peeler under attack by, I believe that's Jordan Tarbell. It's a bit hard to see the race number. Oh, someone getting fairly close up behind.
And last week, speaking of Jordan Tarbell, he had a podium finish there, Conan. So a great run from Jordan last week here in the VRA, trying to make it 2 for 2 tonight here with podium finishes. But keep an eye out for Dallas Myhan up there in the fourth position, a multi-time winner here this season out of Shift Esports, as Conan mentioned. That's an awesome stable of drivers there. They raced, I think, Conan, if I'm not mistaken, they raced Tuesday through Friday, and they're all racing together. They're all practicing together, so they're great teammates. They're great drivers. You see it in this series. I see it on Wednesday night, Oscar series as well. They're bumping and banging out of 4. Man, things are getting testy here on the racetrack. We are under caution here once again from the bull ring.
Looks like it may have been the 98 that has gone around on the back straight away.
Take a look at that 10-4 broadcast and replay for you folks at home. We'll see what happens here. And Conan, I think you are correct, that 98.
Just entered too low and it's just gone over the ripple strips, and that's just sent it around. Being right down on the apron, there's no banking to be able to help rotate the car, and just means that it's unsalvable already. But then once you get over those little elevated parts of the rumble strip, it just bounces the car and then you go around easier.
And you saw that car go right round, baby, right round once you hit those rumble strips. But here on lap number 51, our fifth caution of the night, we're going to step aside for our first break here on 10-4 Broadcasting. We'll be right back with more live action at the Virtual Racing Association.
Be sure to check out Tim Mayo Conrad and the Weekend Woodsmen crew on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button to get notifications when a new video drops, and check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Enjoy the race.
Live here in the Virtual Racing Association. This is the Weekend Woodsman 130. You saw that wonderful turkey montage out of the Weekend Woodsman there. We invite you to go check out that channel. They have all those hunting tips and tricks that you need here in the month of October. It's getting to be turkey season already, folks. November is right around the corner. So if you want to figure out how to get the most out of your hunts, the most out of your outdoor living, go check out Weekend Woodsman on YouTube. But here we go. Kind of green flag is about to wave once again. See if Caden Tusk can get that huge jump off the start, and he does just that.
Dallas Mahan starting behind was able to also benefit from the restart. Is going to be looking to the inside of the 14 of Mokwa. Should be able to clear him going into turn 3, but Mokwa is going to need to take it easy, try not to be under attack by the 13 of Adam Pula. But then looking a little bit further back, it seems like Alex Kenton is making a move on the 38, but then the 33 seems to have made a move up the inside as well.
Mokwa is doing a great job there holding on to that podium spot. But once again, folks, I said keep an eye out on Dallas Mahan. He's down in 4th position before that yellow flag flew. Now he's jumped up 2 spots on the grid, and he is coming for Caden Tufts. I see that speed already out of the 2.6 machine. That is a driver out of the Shift Esports team right there on lap 57 down into 1 and 2 around the bull ring right now. And kind of, does Caden start feeling the heat out of Dallas now coming up in that 2nd spot, or do you just stick to your plan up there at the top of the grid? As we have Cody McLean sideways on the front stretch, and the caution waves once again here on lap 58.
Right now, I'd say the biggest issue Caden might be experiencing is because he's been up front and leading that pace, he's been burning his tires up probably more than Dallas, who has had to be just take it easy and behind cars. So potentially Caden may be having some tire wear, and that's going to be causing a bit of pace difference. But on board with Chris Gutierrez just gasses up too much, which then spins. Then Cody McLean doing the exact same thing.
And Connie, as we're under caution here once again, I was going to ask you about this track here tonight. I've kind of gotten how to tackle it, but is it a track that you can kind of let these modifieds fly, if you will? Can you really get on the gas and just let off in the corners, or is it a little bit more technical than that here at the bull ring?
Unfortunately, I don't really have as much experience as I don't actually own the track yet, but I was inside and watching Adam Peeler's on board, and you really have to be getting on the brakes and just letting it kind of roll, but then you have to pick up the gas quickly, but you've got to be hugging that bottom lane. If you're on the outside, you're going to get freight train, but then it's very easy to then drift up the track and out into the outside wall, but then you don't want to be drifting out all the way and wrapping around the wall. So even though it seems like a fairly simple concept, the corners are tighter than what you expect, and you can carry a bit more speed than maybe you expect as well. And just getting all the braking and throttle applications correct also, it's not as easy as it may first appear.
No, and to the blind eye, this looks like a track that you can basically just let off and get back on. But I didn't even know there's a braking aspect to the bull ring as well, that you gotta hit those brakes and then ride that thing around the corner. But you hit it right on the head there, kind of. What we see out of the drivers here tonight is getting back on that gas pedal is really causing some of these drivers fits here tonight. Whether it's going down into the corner, kind of riding that inside lane, you hit the marbles, you spin, or exiting the corner, you try to get on the gas too quick and that back end slides from underneath you. That's basically what's brought out our 5 cautions of the night here. There hasn't been any multi-car accidents so far here tonight, kind of just really guys making the simplest of mistakes.
Really, the only big pile-up that was seen was on the opening caution on lap 4, I believe it was, where just up near front there was a bit of a checkup, and then a couple cars went around, but pace car pulls back in as we're going to have to wait a couple moments before Caden fires off. But this time Dallas starting on the outside. Mokwa in the 14 behind Caden is going to be able to get off to a good restart.
Yes, Caden Tufts with a huge restart once again. We're starting to see a little bit of a repetitiveness, a little deja vu, if you will. Shout out to Denzel Washington there, because we're seeing the same thing over and over again right now as Caden Tufts on those restarts. He almost wishes a caution will come out there so he can get a bigger jump on the field each time he does that. And I remember taking gym class there in school, and they always told us to run on the inside part of the track during gym because that was the shortest way around the racetrack, and Caden has found that there on those restarts, the inside lane is the fastest lane, especially here at the bull ring.
Yeah, it's typically the case where you can just hug the bottom and then be able to stack up the outside, which then allows the car behind. Oh, Nathaniel Cherry down much lower than you really should be, but when you start on that low lane, it pushes the car above you to have to start above you, and then they're in a blind spot for you, so then they can't really see you fire off as quickly as maybe they want, so then that causes a checkup on the high line. Side then can get a better momentum, and then the car that starts second typically has a harder time. Oh, Nathaniel Cherry being very low through the corner and just getting a bit sideways, but It's able to keep it all going and keeps it going in a straight line.
Yeah, good on that 33 machine. As we're going to ride on board with Nathaniel Cherry right now, we're going to see exactly how you tackle this track. In just a second there, we popped out of the 33. We're going to pop back in here in just a second. We're going to see how he tackles this track right here, coming off the corner and go into the corner. He's going to drop it down all the way down to about 69. He's going to get on. You're still almost on the corner there, kind of before you get back on the gas. You're still going around the corner, and then you see the acceleration go up. So you're almost still turning as you're hitting the gas pedal at the same time.
Yeah, you have to be applying the throttle on the mid corner. As soon as you hit the apex, then you're starting to apply the throttle, but you do that too soon, and then you're drifting up into that outside wall. And with these large Hoosier tires, you just, Adam Peeler going up the track, and that's opened the door for Nathaniel Cherry, so maybe Adam just letting him by.
Yeah, good on Nathaniel Cherry being involved in that first couple of incidents there. Took hard impact from John Sponsler that crashed out. But that 33 has done a great job of working himself back up through the grid, trying to at least pull out a podium finish here tonight. And that will work dividends for him towards the end of the season. Kind of, you were especially one to speak about that. You know, you might have a rough couple of goes to start this season, but if you can start racking up great finishes, you could really have a shot at whoever's leading that point table at the end of the season.
Yeah, with these sorts of races, a lot of different things can happen, and with the field being a lot more compressed and competitive than it was last season, it means that the amount of points up for grabs is a lot less than what it may have been. Caden may have had an easier time last season and was able to claw back a massive points deficit, and with being in that mid-pack, you've got to get out of it, but there can also be issues up front, so you always have to be on your toes.
And being on your toes, there is John Sponsler right there. You see Nathaniel Cherry in that 33. Now John just sliding that car around the track, just really brushing that wall, fighting that car around the racetrack here tonight. But still, it's Caden Tuss leading the way here on lap 77. He's really pulled that lead to about a 3-second lead so far here on the track. And we see him just cruising around the track, something similar to what we saw last season here in the Virtual Racing Association. He only has 2 wins on the season here, has shared wins with Dallas Myhan, Johnny Eckert as well here on this season. And kind of, you know, I'll ask you again here, is there anything that the rest of this field can do to catch Caden on lap 79, or is it just really you're racing for your own position right here on the track?
Well, you always just got to worry about your own race. Don't worry about the car in front. Obviously, you want to go for that extra position, but at the time, you just want to be worrying about yourself, worrying about saving the tires and not falling back through the field. So you can expect Marquardt and Myhen just to be maybe saving the tires, trying to maybe bank on a caution. Caden, I'd say, will end up hitting, and so will most of the field. We don't really have that many laps left in the race. What? Quick math, 50 laps, I believe it is. Okay. 50 laps left in the race. We're over halfway, so if you stay... Nathaniel Cherry getting up into the outside wall a bit, but seems to have gone away with it. Some drivers probably haven't driven this long of a run, so how much is tire wear going to be coming into effect, and if we get a caution, who's going to be coming and taking tires?
That's an excellent point there, because you don't want to wait too long to come in and get your freshies on there. Although, then again, you don't want to pit too early, so it's quite a strategy we're going to see here last this race here on lap 84. Right. Oh, we're seeing some drivers already slide around the racetrack, and kind of you could speak to this too. We have our 7th caution of the night here.
No.
I think Cherry is at a 90-degree angle. Looks like that is on the exit of 4 right there, right before that restart line. We're going to rev up that 10-4 broadcast and replay to see what happens to Nathaniel Cherry there in that 33 machine. Goes down into 3 and 4 right here. Is already sideways, is already skirting, and just... Oh! Works that thing on the apron, kind of to avoid damage to the front side of the race car.
Luckily, the speeds seem to be a little bit lower for the bull ring, means that when you do have a spin, it's easier to arrest all that speed that you're carrying, but just being far too ambitious going into the turn, which is then start to rotate the car. Luckily, was in a bit of clean air and was able to get down onto the apron and avoided getting into the inside wall, which that could have completely destroyed the engine.
Now, kind of, I'll ask you this too, because you're an experienced modified driver. Could that have been a little bit of that tire wear we were just speaking about there? You know, the longer you race these cars around without pitting, the more wear you're putting on these tires. And like mentioned, I'm coming from an IndyCar race call yesterday to where if you put too much tire wear on those cars, the tires get slicker on the racetrack. Could that be an indication of a little bit of a tire wear issue as well here?
And with IndyCar, you can also change your weight jacket, which can massively change how the car enters a corner. But in these modifieds, you just can really make adjustments to your brake bias. So when the run goes on, you want to move your brake bias more towards the rear, which then we've seen people having issues getting slowed down and just getting the rear end to stay planted in the early stages of the corner. So I'd say it's not so much an issue of tire wear as you would typically find it to get tighter. Instead, it just looks to have been trying to get too much out of the rear brakes, and it's just been too ambitious going into the turn.
That's a good take there. Here on lap 89, you see Dallas Myhan there to the outside. And kind of, you know, you almost think that if Dallas could maybe start behind Caden Tufts, might have a better shot there on those restarts because he'd be on the same inside lane. We're coming up here on the restart zone. The lights are still on of that pace car. Dallas Myhan's going to start in the second position behind Caden Tufts, or to the right of Caden Tufts here on this restart. Ocala's going to start right there in third. We have Peeler in fourth and Kent in fifth. That's our top five currently here on the racetrack here on lap 90. About 40 laps to go already, kind of. And this race has flown by here tonight at the Bullring.
Very short lap. So just going back to your little conversation about Dallas probably wants to start behind. Every time that I've been in position in second place, I've always wanted to be either in third or fourth. I don't like being on that outside lead lane because you can see what happened to Dallas Myhan on that restart, but was able to, seems to have hold off the attack of the 14 of Mockwa for now. But Alex Kenton, after being involved in that initial big wreck, is fighting on the inside of Adam Peeler, trying to take over the fourth position.
You see Mockwa, it looks like he has a little bit of the wiggles right there in that race car, just kind of sliding that thing around. You saw a little bit of a looseness come out of that car for just a brief moment. Seems as though he's got that thing back under control. He was slipping and sliding there on the restart. He's now on that third position, holding off Kenton right behind him for the fourth position. But it looks like Chris Gutierrez is trying to make his way up the grid as well after spinning out not too long ago, trying to get a good finish out of a bad start here tonight. Has overtaken Peeler right there for that top five spot. But we see right behind Peeler, we have Jordan Tarble. We have, I'm looking down there, we have Javier Gamera right there. Morale has actually dropped down into ninth position already. And unfortunately, the 33 of Nathaniel Cherry is a lap down here on the racetrack. Already a couple cars have retired as well. But right now, they're battling for top five right here, kind of here on lap 96. This is the Weekend Woodsmen 130 live on 10-4 broadcasting. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, all three at the same time. Right here, we see they're still battling out right here on the racetrack. This is a battle for the, I believe this is a battle for the third position or second position here on the track.
Looks to be battle for the final little position on the podium. But just going back to Adam Peeler earlier on that restart, he just was stuck on that outside lane, trying to get down low, and he ended up losing 3 positions because he couldn't get his way down low. So you can see how much of a difference being able to just be stuck on that outside. And if you can just follow the car on the inside around and just keep that car on the outside, they don't really have a real high chance of being able to defend. But Alex Kenton quickly catching up to the back of Mockwa makes me possibly think that Alex has taken tires at some point earlier on compared to everyone, and it's just meant that he's done his usual tricks of starting towards the back, and he's just slowly made his way through the field and currently running in the 4th position.
Trying to climb up that grid like Sly Cooper, just trying to make his way up there without being seen. Little Metal Gear Solid action, if you will. But here on lap 101, we'll take our second break of the night. We'll be right back here with live action at the Virtual Racing Association from the Bullring.
Be sure to check out Tim Mayo Conrad and the Weekend Woodsmen crew on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button to get notifications when a new video drops, and check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Enjoy the race.
back here once again from the bull ring, and Kynan, you were itching to get back here on the racetrack, and while we were off air for just a second there on our commercial break, there was some news that came down the pipeline.
Yeah, but I was too busy just thinking about how Alex had set himself up to be able to get past the inside of 14 of Mokwa. He just set him up so then Mokwa overdrove slightly, pushed him up the track, and then Alex was able to put the nose on an exit, and once he was able to pull his car alongside, he was able to chip it away. But looking up at our current race leader, Caden Tufts has a 2.5 second lead with 24 laps to go.
Yeah, and there's a few cars that haven't pit yet, I do believe as well there, Kynan. I think it's just our leaders on the racetrack.
I believe Caden Tufts and
Alex Kenton have.
Oh, Alex Kenton falling through the pack.
And there is a caution flag here once again. Our 8th caution of the night flies with 22 laps to go. We'll get that 10-4 broadcast and replay revved up for you. And that could have been Kenton that was involved in that, kind of, because you were saying that he was dropping down the grid.
Or trying to just get as much time on exit and just rode the wall, cost momentum, and then Mokwa having no time to be able to react to the car sideways on the wall and just getting in and spinning, but luckily was able to keep it to a lot smaller of a crash than what it could have been.
He was racing out of Cheyenne, Wyoming there. Gonna be getting a little chilly there in Wyoming, even though it's only October. It's gonna be a little chilly there. I'm sure he loves being on the simulator, not outside here. I'm sure it's only 6 o'clock there in Wyoming. I'm not sure if it's 2.5 or 3 hour time difference there, but nonetheless, he's not gonna be happy there eating his dinner here with that wreck here late in the stages of this race here with 21 laps to go. So Caden Tufts leading the way, and with that, I'm going to see if we can't bring in our race leader for a quick chat before we go back green. See if we can't get him on the radio. And Caden, we have you up here in the booth for just a hot minute. Caden, you have dominated this race here at the bull ring. Take us through how you've done it so far.
I've been just trying to keep the right rear cool and not overheated. I've got a couple times there loose and maybe gave a little heat to the right rear, but I mean the main part of these cars is just keeping that right rear cool and just making sure you have a perfect corner, and every single corner counts. So I mean, I'm just trying to nail it down. There's a couple times I've overshooting 3 and 4, but 1 and 2 I'm pretty nailed down.
Yeah, you have Dallas Myhan right there on this restart. How important it is to get a good restart here with 20 laps to go, and do you think that's going to be the key to victory here tonight, those restarts?
Yeah, all night it's been a key to get a good restart here. I mean, this track's a complete different track for everyone. I mean, Dallas could have a complete different braking zone than me, and I mean, you always like to have a gap on the restart there in case someone gets in the back of you or something. Then next thing you know, you lose the lead. And I mean, there's still plenty laps left. 20 laps doesn't seem like much, but I mean, there's still plenty time left for mistakes to happen or gains to happen. So we'll just go on from here and see how it goes.
And we'll let you get back to it as we're going to see those lights cut off of the pace car here. Good luck the rest of the way. I'm sure we'll talk to you soon here with 18 laps to go.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.
Caden Tufts, our race leader, also our points leader here in the Virtual Racing Association with 18 laps to go. He spoke about there kind of how important this restart is. We'll see if he can get one of those Caden Tufts restarts here as we're heading down into that restart zone.
Just looking back to Alex Kenton, he seems to have used his fast repair in that initial big wreck, and it's meant that because of him riding the wall, which you're not supposed to do, he's not going to be able to finish the race. So real unfortunate for him, but it's meant that Chris Gutierrez is being able to elevate himself up into the 3rd position, currently under attack from Mokwa. The 2 highlighter cards of Gilberto Gamira and Adam Peeler are currently running side by side. Peeler back on the outside, Gamira on the inside, but then looking a little bit further back. Looks like Cherry and Moro. I'm still sorry, I can't pronounce your name, I'm Australian.
Right there, Gutierrez is in 3rd. That's who you were speaking about there in that 99. That 99 has done a great job of working himself back up through the grid. You see Oka right there. I like how you say that, Oka right there. I can't pronounce that. You can't pronounce the name, so we'll go 50-50 with the names here. Kind of right now with 13 laps to go, the one name that we have to say perfectly each time that he's on the racetrack, and that's Caden Tufts is still racing himself to another victory here. It'll be his third victory of the season here with 13 laps to go. So a lot more action to proceed here in the Weekend Woodsman 130. It definitely looks like his race to win here tonight. And Kyden, if you think you have a difficulty with names, you should try calling my Monday Night Series, the IndyCar Series. It's an international series. We have drivers from all around the world. French, Norwegian, Dutch, Spanish, I mean, all sorts of names. 6-7 syllables each. But right now, the one name, like I mentioned, that we have to know is Caden Tufts at the top. But Dallas Myhan, though, is trying to hold on to a top 3 position. But we had another top 5 for him in this season.
It looked like Dallas may have overheated the rear right just slightly, and that's meant that he slid on exit. He's got to be careful not to keep that heat cycle going in the tire and just keeping the heat building up. But Chris Gutierrez is currently under attack, and Mokwa is going to be under attack from, I believe that's Jordan Tarbell on the inside.
Oh man! And we have a wreck on the front stretch with 8 laps to go. This will essentially make this a 3-lap race when we go back green flag racing. Ethan Mokwa right there. It looks like he got tangled up with Jordan Tarbell there, kind of.
It may have also been Adam Peeler just washing up the track, but looking up on the 10-4 broadcasting replay, you can see Jordan Tarbell to the inside, Mokwa trying to give him space, Adam Peeler then trying to fill the space, ever so slightly getting into the back of Mokwa, and Mokwa going around in quite a vicious circle, but keeps it off the wall and, more importantly, off other cars.
Like Medea once said, how you doing? As he gave him a little bump from behind. Not a vicious bump, if you will, just held his line around the corner. You see it right here once again, just held his line out of 4. But that car was already sideways on the track. Nothing he could do there, Kyan, right?
Yeah, when you're that car on the outside just trying to run their own line, there's not a lot. Oh, looking back, okay. That was a bit of a pass incident, but you can see Chris Gutierrez, Jordan Tarbell pushing them up, which then has caused Mokwa to then cause a check-up, and then Adam Peeler not having enough time to really be able to look. I believe this is on board with Adam Peeler. You can just see him trying to get as much speed on exit, and then Jordan Tarbell, when the caution comes out, just running on the apron and has just started to half spin, but keeps it going in a straight line.
Yeah, and as tight as this track is, nothing you can really do if a guy in front of you gets loose like that. Essentially, you have to just run through him, and it's kind of mean to say there, but there's nothing you can do. You try to avoid the wreck yourself there, and you might wreck yourself trying to avoid another wreck in front of you. But here with 4 laps to go, we'll essentially have a green-white checkered to end things out here in the Weekend Woodsman 130.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if anyone tries taking any lunges up the inside. Not a lot of time left to make up those couple positions, but if you're running for points, maybe it might just be smart to just take it easy and not risk getting spun or causing an accident which sends you further back. So it should be interesting to see how drivers approach this final, or hopefully final restart.
Yeah, this will essentially be the final restart here. Not sure of the overtime rules here in the modifieds, but here with 3 laps to go, this looks like the closest thing that we'll get to overtime, as the pace lights are off of that pace car, leading the way right here with 3 laps to go. Caden Tufts is going to take us through to that green flag, and then we'll see right here if Dallas Myhan has anything for him here on this restart in that 2.6 machine. But we'll see right here, Caden Tufts gets a big restart here off of 4. Dallas Myhan's not far behind, though. It doesn't look like as huge as the gap as Caden usually has. Big move from Dallas to block Chris Gutierrez there on the inside. Again, Caden Tufts going to take us down to 3 and 4. Still the race leader. Dallas Myhan, though, has Chris Gutierrez right behind him. He's going to hold on if he wants to finish second. We are on our final lap here in the Weekend Woodsman 130. Caden Tufts going to take us down the backstretch. He looks like the clear winner here tonight. Still the battle for a podium finish right behind him, though. Chris Gutierrez and Dallas Myhan are going to go 2-3 to finish out this race here. And Caden Tufts is going to win here the Virtual Racing Association from the Bull Ring. What another great finish it is for Shift Esports to finish second here tonight. Caden Tufts, though, in that 00. Everybody's favorite Canadian other than Drake, wins the race here in the Virtual Racing Association, his third win of the season. This is just going to be a huge confidence builder as he is burning it down on the front stretch.
What this is also going to do is going to give quite a points bonus against his rival Seth Rolls. I don't exactly know the points difference going into this round, both having missed a round. So with this, you're not supposed to touch the wall on your burnout lap, mate. You're not supposed to do that, but still very strong performance. And with those restarts and his pace, no one else can really get close, but it's going to give him quite a little points bonus going into the rest of the rounds, but not a lot of rounds left in the season.
Yeah, not at all there, Kynan. As we take a look at these race results here tonight, Kane Tufts, of course, is our race winner here in the Weekend Woodsman 130. Right behind him, we have Dallas Myhan, another great finish for Shift Esports right there. Chris Gutierrez makes up for that early mistake in that 99 machine, going to finish third. Adam Peeler is going to finish fourth here tonight. Nathaniel Cherry in fifth at 33, just battled that thing around the bull ring here tonight, was able to scrap out a top 5 finish. George Harville is going to come home 6th after we saw him get tangled up there towards the end of that race. Gilberto is going to finish 7th. Matt Moore is going to finish in 8th. Ethan Moka is going to finish in 9th. Alex Kenton, we saw him get tangled up, unfortunately, is going to finish a bunch of laps down there in the 10th position. John Sponsler is going to finish in 11th. Cody McLean, we saw one of our early cautions caused by that 5 machine, just couldn't really get the handle all night long there in that 5. It's going to finish in 12th. Steve Durham in 13th, and then Chris Edwards is our admin here tonight in Virtual Racing Association. Actually, Chris Edwards, not even sure if he took the green flag there. But it's good to have him back here in the series. I think he made his return last week, just didn't take it a go here tonight. But Kynan, again, it's Caden Tufts there in that 00, wins the race here in the Virtual Racing Association, something we've seen a lot of here at 10-4 Broadcasting.
Yeah, and unfortunately I had to experience it a bit too much for my liking last season, but I believe we should be getting our 3rd place position of Chris Gutierrez up into the broadcast booth shortly.
Yeah, and speaking, just to jump back real quick on the point standings, coming into tonight, Caden Tufts only had a 12-point lead on Seth Rawls right there. So with a win here tonight, and in the dominating fashion that he did it, I believe he went wire to wire here tonight, kind of that I'm sure that's going to pad his lead by quite a large margin. After that, in 3rd spot, we had Nathaniel Cherry, who battled that 33 machine all around the racetrack here tonight. Cody McLean didn't have the best of nights either. Chris Gutierrez, our 3rd place finish, though will bring him up into the booth. He was 42 points away from our points leader here. 5th place on that table, but 3rd place here tonight in that finishing grid. Take it away, kind of, with our 3rd place finisher, Chris Gutierrez.
Hey, Chris, do you have a copy?
I do.
So earlier on in this race, we saw you get a little bit loose out of turn 4. Was that just a case of tire wear, or was the setup just loose on exit?
I think there was a little bit of mayonnaise in the corner, but no, I just get a feel for the grip. I did a lot of hot laps in practice. I did a couple short runs, and it took me about half the race to get the grip level consistent. I would go a couple laps and it would feel really good, and then it would just randomly either push or get loose. So it took me about half the race to figure out that I just had to really be on top of it at all times and not relax. So yeah, that was a bit embarrassing, but once I figured it out and got a little bit of a tire advantage, I put on 2 tires and it felt better and got it up to the front. So that was, I'll take it for a first time out. I've never raced this track before, so I'll take it.
With you saying that this is your first time out on the track, is this sort of track layout that you're used to, or do you prefer 1.5 mile speedways?
I mean, honestly, my background's more 1.5 miles and things, but over the last couple of years, I've really worked on short tracks. They're definitely a different skill set, but these cars are just fun. I've really enjoyed it. I've never really raced these cars till I joined this league this year, so I'm really happy that I've been somewhat consistent. And I've been learning every race. A couple of races, I did some stupid things to myself, but I learned from them. So I'm really happy with where I'm at for being first time in the series.
With this being a car that you haven't really been as used to, how is it compared to, say, the Xfinity stock car that I have raced with you on our Thursday nights?
This car, you can drive it a little bit more aggressively, and it doesn't seem like it hurts as much as like with Xfinity. You got it really smooth and keep your tires on it. But I noticed you can kind of wrestle the car a little bit here in this league. And then the other thing that takes a little getting used to is the fact that the right side juts out a little more than an Xfinity car. That's caught me out a couple times this season where I'm trying to be close to the wall to open up my turn entry and end up sticking in the fence. So definitely a learning curve for sure.
Well, every little thing you can take and learn from a race is something that you can benefit for the long term. But next week we have off, and then we go to Nashville Fairgrounds for a night race. How are your expectations going into that week?
I'll definitely put some practice in Nashville. I didn't realize what track that's my not reading the schedule, but I probably would have practiced this a bit more. But I'm familiar with the fairgrounds. I've loved running in it. And Xfinity and trucks. Obviously, this will be different, but I really enjoy the National Fairgrounds. So hopefully, we'll keep it in the top 5 and goals of top 5 in points by the end of the season. I think it's very achievable.
Well, if you can keep up these performances for the rest of the season, I'm sure we will. But before we let you go, do you have anyone to thank for getting you up into the 3rd position here tonight?
I just want to give a shout out to my Nurse Aviator teammates. I want to give a shout out to Adam, and you can find him on Nurse Aviator Gaming on Twitch. And my buddy Alex, you can find him at Mr. Bushy on Twitch. They're both really good guys. They've brought me in, and we're really close, and we have fun racing each other. Yeah, thank them for bringing me in. Thank Jordan for putting the league on. Thank you guys for broadcasting, and thank everybody for kind of putting up with me because I know I can be a little bit of a hothead sometimes, but I think I'm starting to come into my own as a driver with these guys and understand how people race, and I think I got some good future here.
Well, hopefully we can see more of you in the future for VRA. But and hopefully we get to talk to you in a couple weeks' time for Nashville Fairgrounds. Take care and have a lovely rest of your night.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the broadcast. Take care. Have a good night, guys.
And that was Chris Gutierrez, going to finish 3rd here tonight, kind of. And we spoke with him about that too, about how he was able to climb back through the grid, an early mistake. And actually, you spoke about kind of how we started this race off. Even though you have a early mistake, you can still climb your way back up through the grid.
Yeah, you can't really count anything out until the end of the race, especially when you get loose. It just gives you a bit of an excuse to come in and take tires that maybe you wouldn't want to lose the track position. But if you've got no track position to lose, you can just always just benefit. And if you don't have anything to lose, you can just means you have everything to gain. So Chris was able to take full advantage of that, but I believe you will be catching up with our 2nd place position of Dallas Mahan.
Yeah, speaking of track position, there was one driver that basically glued himself to 2nd position throughout tonight's race. Never really got the opportunity to reel in Caden to even make a move on him. But Dallas Mahan, you finished 2nd here tonight. Another awesome performance out of that 2.6 machine. You won last week. You get 2nd here this week. You continue that domination. You don't win, but you still continue that domination for Shift Esports. Take us through your race here tonight, and what do you think of the bull ring?
I'm glad it's over. It was very, very unstressful. It was very stressful for me to be part of. It was my first time here driving this track ever. Even though I've owned it for about since it first came out, and I never drove it before until tonight. This car, it was a handful each lap. Even after my first lap spin, those tires were just gone from heated up and being worn down the rears. I could get the 2nd place. Couldn't do more than that. It was the car was just too tight on the restarts to do any kind of movement from the inside. Because once the leader goes on the restarts, they kind of just checked out. It's so tough to pass, and the inside's so dominant on restarts.
Yeah, we noticed that there. Caden always wanted to restart there to the inside, and actually me and kind of spoke about it up here in the booth, about how you almost wanted to start behind Caden there on those restarts, because it looked like coming off of that restart zone on the embankment was a little bit harder to reel in Caden there on those restarts. Was that pretty much the only tactic there on the race you would think was the restarts? We saw you also throwing some major blocks there to hold on to that 2nd spot. Was it a little bit of a give and take behind? You had to block behind you, but then also you had to time those restarts just enough with those 8 cautions here tonight.
Yeah, that's probably about it. Yeah, if you're not 3rd place or tonight I got lucky on the outside a few times. I held off 3rd place, but a few times I didn't. But if you're on the outside behind Caden Tufts, you're going backwards on the track.
Yeah, another great performance. So we didn't see your teammate Seth Ross here tonight. Had to retire early in last week's race, which opened the door for you to win last week. You come home second here, but next week we head to the fairgrounds. How confident are you that you can continue this top 3 dominance going into the fairgrounds next week?
I feel better going next week's race than this week's race. I have at least a lot more laps on that track next week at Nashville Fairgrounds than I do at the Bull Ring. A lot more experience and I think better passing opportunities there because with more banking on the track we're going to have.
Yeah, and with the races counting down here in this season, Dallas, I think you're a little bit outside of the point standings. What can you take away here as we count down the races here in the Virtual Racing Association? What more can you accomplish other than racking up these race wins or these top 3s?
Just keep getting better each week and honestly just keep going for wins. I missed 2 races earlier in the year, so I couldn't go for the championship anymore. So all I can do now is just go for broke and hope I win it every week.
Well, you went for broke here tonight. You worked your way through the grid. You held on to that second spot. You threw some big blocks. As mentioned, just weren't able to reel in Caden there on those restarts. But Dallas, you come home second here tonight. And with that podium finish, we love to give you drivers the opportunity to shout out anybody you had watching here tonight. Any sponsors on the side of the race car where people can find you on social media?
Of course, I'd like to thank you guys at 10-4 Broadcasting, Tim and Jordan put this on up tonight for us. Shift V Sports, SR Design, the Mohawk Foundation, everyone at Shift V Sports is having all the support towards me. It's been nice. It's been fun. Can't wait to next week. Should be a great race. Tune in this Thursday at 3Y for Oscar at 8 p.m. Yeah, that's about it. My Twitter is Dallas00795. That's my Twitter. But that's it, I think, for me. Thank you, guys.
Awesome, Dallas. Well, you come home second here tonight. Great finish here at the Bull Ring. Your first go at this track. I'd say it was a good go, but Dallas will go ahead and let you go. Enjoy the rest of your night, my man. We'll see you racing on the track, as mentioned. You just mentioned there on 3Y TV on Thursday in the Oscar Series. But a great finish here tonight, my man. Have a great rest of your night, and we appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
And that was Dallas Mahan going to come home second here tonight. And he spoke about how he just didn't have enough there on those restarts. He actually hit the nail right on the head that we spoke about during the broadcast about how starting on the inside lane was so key to Caden on those restarts.
Yeah, there's been multiple occasions, especially in North Wilkesboro. I did not want to be starting on the inside lane, so I'd purposely back myself up to start on the outside just because you're able to get more. But even though it goes against your racing code, you want to gain positions, but sometimes it's best to sandbag just in case there's a caution. And then when you get that white flag, you go all for broke. But unfortunately, it's just how it is with some short tracks. You're just unable to really fight the car going into the lead. But I believe you're going to catch up, and this is going to make Caden fairly happy because I don't think he likes hearing me over and over again. So I'll let you take over for the interview.
Yeah, Caden Tufts is going to pick up his third win of the season, takes another one home for Canada, especially with hockey season coming up here. Actually, tonight was the first night of hockey season. Caden Tufts is going to celebrate in victory lane. That 0-0 picks up his third win of the season. And Caden, I believe you went wire to wire, something we saw a lot of what you did last season here in the Virtual Racing Association. I haven't seen it a lot here this season, but again, you're on top of the points table. You're on top of the grid here tonight. Take us through how you were able to win this race in such dominating fashion at the Bull Ring.
Like I said earlier in the interview, I mean, I was just going for a good restart every single time there was one, keeping that right rear cool. I started failing at that in the last 20-ish laps there. I was just trying to pull away from Dallas in case, I made a little mistake, maybe got into the wall or something, and he ended up closing in on my bumper, so I just knew I had enough space to get it back all together and keep going.
And speaking of Dallas Mahan there in the second position, one thing that I was kind of thinking about up here in the booth, did you ever feel any sort of pressure from other drivers? Of course, there's always pressure on yourself during the race, hitting your marks right, hitting your acceleration points right. But did you ever feel any of the other competitors here on the track, or was it really just a subtle dolo race for you in that 0-0?
I was just trying to keep it cool. I mean, I seen Dallas come from pretty much the back to the front, and I was like, he's either using his tires up a lot, or he's just very what do you call it? Patient,
Right.
getting around the guys and keeping his tires in one piece. But I heard him in Discord say he spun, so I mean that I guess helped me out a lot if he spun, because I mean I don't think he pitted at all this whole race, neither did I. So and his fuel was a huge thing in this. I was just trying to save him as much fuel as I could per lap, and just trying to keep it off the rev limiter, because I mean the more you hit the rev limiter, it's just keeping the engine at a steady pace, and you're just using more fuel at a high rev. So I was just trying to keep it off the rev limiter as much as I could. But yeah, other than that, I didn't have too much pressure. I was just trying to keep my eyes on what's ahead of me, and don't worry about what's behind me, and whatever's behind me, if it hits me, it hits me. I mean, just got to keep it straight and keep going.
Yeah, and one thing that I would love to touch on as well, Caden, there, we had 8 cautions on the night, but each time that caution flag flew and then that green flag came out, it looked like you almost wanted a restart, because you restarting on that inside lane just catapulted you to about almost a second lead, a little over a second. Did you feel like there on those restarts you were kind of hitting that Hot Wheels booster there on the restarts, because it looked like you were just checking out from the rest of the field?
Yeah, I mean these cars have pretty insane grip on the restarts. I mean they don't barely get any tire spin unless you have the rears chewed up. I could just get right on it and it would be flying away. So I was just trying to mix the restarts up as much as I could, because I know a bit ago Seth Rawls actually mastered my restart there and ended up picking up a spot off me. So I was just trying to keep it as inconsistent as I could on the restarts there, and just get a decent lead into turn one, and I mean just keep pulling away.
I think Kynan has a page out of that Caden Tuff's restart book as well. He spoke about it here on the broadcast as well, about how he was able to time it there towards the end of the season. But speaking of the end of the season here in the Virtual Racing Association, you came into this race as the points leader. You had a points lead of about 12 or 13 points. Seth Rollins didn't take the grid here tonight, so I'm sure that points lead will increase by a good margin. But Caden, here down the stretch, we have about 4 or 5 races to go here in the Virtual Racing Association. What's more left to accomplish there in that 00? Is it just racking up wins, or do you want to come home with that overall championship?
It would be nice to get the championship again this season, but also wins at the same time. So I mean I'm not worried about points right now. I just want to keep getting consistent finishes, top 5 finishes, and making sure I finish ahead of Seth. We have a pretty close battle here in the championship. I'm not sure how it's gonna lead out after this race, but I mean it's gonna be a close one at the end of the season. So I just got to keep on the consistent finishes, and then the last 2 races or so start worrying about the points.
Yeah, we head to the fairgrounds next week. Do you feel like you can carry that momentum of this week into the fairgrounds next week? I think we might have it next week. Yeah, in 2 weeks. I think we have next week off. So in 2 weeks, do you think you can carry this momentum onto the fairgrounds?
Hopefully it's another short track. So I mean, hopefully we can keep the short track momentum going. I mean, we struggled on the big tracks, so it's good to be back at a short track and victory lanes. So hopefully we can keep this momentum going and pull another one off.
Awesome, my man. Well, your 3rd win of the season. You know the drill here down in Victory Lane. We love to give you drivers the opportunity to shout out anybody that you have watching, any sponsors that makes that 00 run like it does here in the Virtual Racing Association, or where people can find you on social media.
The big team I run for right now is Pure Racing Setups. They've done a huge thing on the official side for me. I run quite a bit of officials now. You can use my code TUFS15 for 15% off on prssetups.com. Also Timberley Beverage Room, Bradwater Mortgages, LBT Pallets, Skysworth Transfer. You guys for putting this on, and VRA for letting me in the league, and Vic for all the race controlling he does. I know some people give him a hard time, so tonight we were nice to him and gave him an easy time for him. So shout out to him for putting up with us. And other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, Caden Tufts, you win again here once again in the Virtual Racing Association. A little bit different than what we've seen, but this is definitely a deja vu, Groundhog's Day of what we saw last season here in this series, where you went wire to wire. You won this race in dominating fashion. But once again, Caden Tufts is our race winner here tonight. Caden, we appreciate you taking the time, my man. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Where can people, because we'll be off next week, where can people find you racing in your other series?
I think next week we have Oscar, so that's the Xfinity series. We'll probably be over there on the what is it? 3Watt TV, I'm pretty sure. That's who broadcasts that. I'll probably be posting the link on my social medias, Caden Tufts 88 or CD Tufts or CD.Tufts 88 on Instagram, and then my Facebook page, Caden Tufts, my name, that should be on there. Other than that, probably official races, I'll be just running around and getting laps and just keep active on the sim and stay used to these cars.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you. Yeah. That's it, my man. Well, we appreciate you taking the time with us here tonight. Go celebrate this race victory here, your third on this season. And we'll see you back here in 2 weeks in the Virtual Racing Association. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys putting this on. Have a good night.
Yes, sir. And that was Caden Tufts, our race winner here tonight, Kynan. And as mentioned, he went wire to wire. And it's almost good to hear, humbling to hear him say that he didn't really feel any pressure here tonight. It was really just a battle with himself to make sure his tires were going to be good enough. He hit those corners good enough. Take a look at that official race results here once again. And Kynan, it's almost good to hear a driver be as upfront as he was there in that closing interview.
Yeah, but when you're in a situation in a race where you're more worried about yourself, it can sometimes be worse because you're always having that evil little demon inside your head being like, don't mess up, don't you mess up, don't you do it, don't you touch the wall. And then that's ultimately when I tend to touch the wall. But Caden tonight didn't really make any mistakes that I am actually aware of. So good work to him. And that will be the third win of the season, which is just a testament on how competitive this season has been. What, Caden last season went 7 in a row, I believe it was. 6 or 7. USA kind of messed up the streak, but still a lot of wins in a row. But come into the season, had 2 wins early on at Richmond and WWT, I believe. And then after that, massive break, but getting back up into victory lane. So week off, and then we're off to Nashville Fairgrounds. Who's going to win that? Best way viewers will be able to find out is if they subscribe, turn on the post notifications on YouTube, like the stream, and come back in 2 weeks' time for when we go back to Green Flag Racing here in the VRA Modified League.
Yeah, and it was what a race it was here tonight from the Bull Ring. Of course, we saw Caden Tufts dominate the race there at the top of the grid. A lot of moving parts, though, underneath in there. We see Dallas Myhan come away with another top 3. Chris Gutierrez was able to make up for a early mistake, come away with a podium finish as well. Nathaniel Sherry in that 33, we thought was going to battle there. Caden for the race victory actually finishes in 5th after working himself back up to the grid after an early mistake. Jordan Tarble does a great way of finishing inside the top 10 as well. And with this race here tonight at the Bull Ring, 9 cars finished on the lead lap. We see Alex Kett in the first car a lap down on that grid here tonight. But we want to thank all of our wonderful sponsors here in the Virtual Racing Association, the Weekend Woodsmen, who actually was the title sponsor of tonight's proceedings. We want you to go check them out, Weekend Woodsmen, on YouTube. They have all your hunting tips and tricks that you need, especially going into turkey season in November. That is the place to go check them out. If you like that little turkey montage we showed during those commercials breaks, we invite you to go check them out. As well as Admin Box. That's Admin Box with 2 X's. Check them out on adminbox.com. They make race control and admin devices that are fully customizable. LED lid, they're USB plug and play. No more having to sit down pit road, have your name on this grid without racing. You can race in your races, folks, and do all the race control and admin needs you need to do from that Admin Box. We invite you to check them out at adminbox.com. That's adminbox with 2 X's.com. But for myself, Mike Maddox, as well as Kynan Jones here, we are 10-4 Broadcasting. If you are liking what you are seeing here tonight, go check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. We'll be live once again in the High Octane Sim Series on Friday nights. We want to wish everybody a great night and a big congratulations for Caden Tufts picking up the big win here at the Bull Ring. And we'll see everybody in 2 weeks here